So this is something that happened about a week ago, but I had to share it with you. I mean, the reason I'm showing you this is because there are plenty of people who would see this and say, I don't know what's wrong with this, but that is definitely not the right reaction. Take a look and then we'll discuss.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. As I promised yesterday, I promised snacks. I did not bring them in here, but my mother-in-law made homemade chocolate chip cookies for you guys. So there's one for each of you in here. We will do it in a COVID-safe way. But thanks, everyone, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think the people who just got delicious homemade cookies from Jen Psaki, do you think they're more likely or less likely to ask very tough, aggressive questions on serious issues the next time they have a press hearing? Again, you might be dismissive of this. You might say, hey, it's a little thing. I don't think it's a little thing. I think it's actually very important, in the same way that the White House Correspondents' Dinner is very important. You cannot have this cozy, comfy, happy relationship between the White House and the press, because then they're just stenographers to power. Because humans are only human. And, part of human nature is, hey, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. And so they do little favors for each other, they hang out with each other, they're buddy-buddy, and the press clearly winds up on the side of power, on the side of money and influence and the administration. And then they just view their job as, how can I rationalize and justify and spin and put these things in as positive a light as possible? And listen, you've seen the effects of this. Not this exact moment, but you've seen the effects of this cozy relationship. So a great example of that is all the misleading headlines when Biden did his initial executive orders. Remember when he did the executive order on eliminating student loan debt? Every headline was like, Biden to eliminate student loan debt. And then you read the specifics and it's like, he's only eliminating less than 1% of the $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. He's only eliminating it for people who went to literal for-profit scam colleges, but 99 point whatever percent of people who have student loan debt are not getting relief. Or the private prison things. The headlines are like, Biden bans private prisons. You read the specifics. It's only for the Department of Homeland Security, and they have a tiny percentage of all the private prisons. 60-some-odd% of ICE prisons are private prisons, and those are staying open. This is what happens. The Buy America executive orders. I had to read, like 6 or 7 articles on that before you got the real story about what's in the executive order. The executive order didn't have much teeth. It wasn't the real Buy America executive order that we wanted, which mandates that everything the federal government buys is made in America. But it was hard to get the truth because the press was spinning it, putting a positive spin on it for Biden. The kids in cages thing. All of a sudden, they're not kids in cages. All of a sudden, they come up with high-minded sophistry to explain the temporary holding facilities, or whatever they call them, because they don't use the same harsh, vituperative language that they used against Trump because they like Biden. The press, by and large, in this country, most of the outlets, are fans of the corporate Democrats. They're not fans of the left flank of the Democrats. They're fans of corporate Democrats. They hate Republicans. They hate the left flank of the Democrats. They like the corporate Democrats. And I think all the evidence points in that direction. So what's happening here is effectively a bribe. I'll be nice to you, you be nice to us. That's what we're seeing here. So you're not going to get a press that does the job that the press is supposed to do. And what is the press supposed to do? The press is supposed to be adversarial towards power. They're supposed to be looking out for the average American, explaining what's going on, explaining what the powerful are up to, what corruption is going on, what bad decisions are being made. Now, you tell the truth, of course, always, so if there's something good that happens, tell the truth. But you are generally supposed to be adversarial to hold these people accountable. Your job in the press should be, hey, Biden said he was going to do X, Y, and Z on the campaign trail. Now he's not doing X, Y, and Z. What's going on here? What's your excuse? Why is this the case? Hold them accountable. Hold them accountable when it's a Republican in the White House. Hold them accountable when it's a Democrat in the White House. But instead, you get a totally different scenario. You get kid gloves, particularly for the Democratic presidents. So what the Democrats have learned that the Republicans haven't really caught on to yet is these people are easy to schmooze. They're so easy to schmooze. Invite them to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, give them a free meal and a couple glasses of wine, and all of a sudden they're your stenographers. All of a sudden they do nothing but propaganda. Give them some delicious cookies, And you could hear it in the tone of their voice how excited they are when they say this. So it's much less likely they're going to be aggressive and hold them accountable and be adversarial. I'm sorry, it's true. Again, you might think I'm blowing this out of proportion, but you should never, ever, ever have that chummier relationship with power. Because if you make friends with the people you're supposed to be reporting on, you're going to end up just being their propagandists. And that's what they are.